I was talking to a friend of mine today, Drupada Prabhu. I had a long conversation with him. I had been trying to reach him for some days to discuss the passing of one of our god brothers, Kudichuk from Canada here. And I was telling him that working together, if one or two devotees, if two devotees come together and they're working, that's like 11. It's very powerful. Two working together, a group of 2 or 3, that becomes 33, like that. So there is strength in numbers in Krishna consciousness, and we're able to achieve things that could be difficult, but in cooperation with others, they become easier and more productive, let's say. Just like our work for the printing of the books, Nilesh, we're making great progress, actually. And I hope to announce some success very soon. But it's been very difficult for us since we originally, just so everybody gets an idea that's watching the show as well online later, because we have over 100,000 views of our classes in our online YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society. So a lot of people will be watching this later, besides the live broadcast. We originally, Nilesh, got the program going based on a quote from some devotees from the KBI, which is a group. I'm not sure where they got their authority to print Prabhupada's books. I don't know all the history. It's quite convoluted, truly convoluted. The rights, who has the rights to print Prabhupada's books? Nowadays, the BBT has assumed the rights to produce the change books. And that's what they're promoting in their cult, let's say, their group. And we're not sure where they got those rights, because especially in America, there are so many different rules, as you know, Nilesh. When you go to the registry office in Washington with, there are books that have been registered there as copyrighted. If you change one of the books, you have to re-enter the submission to the registry office there in order to qualify to consider it a new edition of the book. And so Prabhupada's books have been changed multiple occasions. Like, there are tens of thousands of edits of these books. And these have not been logged in with the registry office in the copyright office in Washington. No. So where's the question of legal right if it's not properly legally followed? So there's a lot of confusion over who has the rights over Prabhupada's books. And in many cases, these rights have been stolen, let's say, by certain individuals, different people. And for example, the BBT office, and I can be corrected if I'm not absolutely correct, was transferred from LA to Florida. Did you know that, Nilesh? That the BBT office is in Florida, run by a person, Suvas, who was originally in LA. Now, somehow or other, he got himself in this position. Nobody knows, and nobody knows about the whole case, in a sense. And so what happened was, there were two devotees that were running what's called KBI. And these two groups were, this group was being run by a guy, Vedaguya Prabhu, and a guy Gupta, Mr. Gupta, who was involved in the lawsuit with Hansaduda back in the day when Hansaduda tried to sell his rights as a BBT trustee to them, which was illegal. But nonetheless, it's a great history. I think I have a copy of it in my files. I never bothered reading it. It's just a lot of gobbledygook. You know, you go over these legal files, these legal cases. They just go on, and you've got lawyers involved. And lawyers, as you know, Nilesh, what are they interested in? Getting a new Mercedes-Benz. That's what they get. And there's been a lot of money. I think the legal fees in the original case with Hansaduda were over $250,000. So there's been like millions and millions of dollars spent in legal cases, not only in India, but America, concerning the copyrights of the books, the temples, all kinds of things, a total waste of money. And this is unfortunate, because we know that Prabhupada, and we'll be reading in the diaries later, you'll see Prabhupada's keeping track of 30 cents. He's keeping track of $1. He's marking everything down. He was very diligent with Lakshmi Devi. So the last thing he wanted us to do was spend money on legal affairs. More of us just work together cooperatively. But what's happened in India, just to move along with the discussion, was that some group in India sued KBI. And I have a copy of the lawsuit. Again, I didn't read the copy, Garuda. Prabhu, good to see you online tonight. I was explaining about the history of copyright law and where these rights rest now in relation to our publishing or printing, not publishing, but just printing the Srimad Bhagavatams, the original Delhi versions. So we got a quote from KBI, Nilesh. We got a quote from them. And based on that quote, I went ahead and launched there was a set of circumstances that evolved that led me to launch a GoFundMe campaign for us, for our group, to publish the KBI versions of the Delhi Bhagavatams, their printed versions, like how they had done it. I had originally got a set from Madhuha years ago in Toronto. I went to the Rath Yatra about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was selling them out of the trunk of his car. In other words, he had been given a rule: you can't sell these books, original books in Canada, by the GBC man. No, you can't do that. Now, he's going around breaking the rules because he is the head of the traveling Rath Yatra program, and really, truly a great devotee of Jayananda and the Sankirtan mission. So I bought that set. That's the set that we use. Here's the first. So I got a set of these. Now, I had an original set when I joined the movement. I'm trying to recover a couple of volumes of it. But when I saw this, Nilesh, it was really a perfect replica in many regards of the original book. And I always loved these books, despite some of the spelling errors and grammatical errors. It made no difference to me, because the message was very clear, loud and clear in these books, what Prabhupada was teaching us. So it made no difference to me. And somehow this project got going. I had spoken to Madhuha about it. He transferred me over to Vedaguya. He had been working with him and with this Gupta, Mr. Gupta. And subsequently, we got a quote for the books, and we were going to move ahead. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. Oh, yeah. And we found out through our worldwide connections that there had been a lawsuit launched from India against KBI. And subsequently, they've stopped printing Prabhupada's original books. So now there's some difficulty. And we ran into difficulty because we had to find another printer. And I'm delighted to say, Nilesh, that we have located somebody, and we're keeping that under hat just for now. And very positive. months and months of effort, months and months of uh, searching for solutions, and Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, is blessing us with this opportunity to carry on with the mission. And I've had an idea as well, despite the difficulty, because the KBI, by the way, they've now decided, I got a letter from some fellow in Australia through the, social media, web, let's say, that they're planning to sell the books and keep the money, and they're going to end all printing of Prabhupada's original books because of this legal problem that's come up in India. This is very, sort of basically what I'm understanding from all the information that we're getting. So irrespective of that, we're moving ahead at least to do some small effort to preserve these books. And our hope is that in due course, Krishna will help us further as one of our mandates to reproduce more books as we gather Lakshmi and facility to do it in Ukraine, to do it in Italy, to print books in French, all original versions, and in Spanish and in English at small levels, just whatever we can do as a humble group of devotees to try to keep this legacy of Prabhupada and his original books alive with the Prabhupada Disciples Association. So that's just some insight for everyone today as we were waiting for Yashodanandan. I see he has appeared here for a minute. And I wanted to talk briefly about Aprakrita for all of us. That it's interesting to note, Nilesh, that Aprakrita Prabhu, who was in Montreal, and I had a long talk with Drupada Yashoda today, Drupada Prabhu, who's also a star devotee, really amazing Prabhupada disciple, former head pujari of Krishna Balaram Mandir when Prabhupada was alive. And he was the first pujari for Prabhupada's Samadhi in Vrindavan. And he served during Prabhupada's presence as head pujari, and is still a very good close friend of mine. And I've always encouraged him to work with us in the future in a team so that we can continue to build confidence amongst our membership that there are many good Prabhupada disciples that are ready to step up and try their best to preserve this legacy of Prabhupada. But getting back, I told him about Kudichak's passing last week, sadly. And they have even trouble picking up his remains, strange as it may seem. They're having difficulty. I got notice of that. I couldn't do anything. I mean, all I had was his phone number, Nilesh. The guy died in some place in Quebec. And what can we do? You call up, there's no answer. So people are having trouble getting a hold of him and dealing with it. But in the case of Aprakrita, he passed away 3 or 4 weeks ago in Montreal, but no trouble there. And all the devotees were around him because he had built this community of devotees by his own hard efforts. It wasn't a big community, but it was a solid group of people that understood how advanced this Prabhu was in surrendering everything to the lotus feet of his spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Literally, his schedule, his time allotment, like Prabhupada's allotment, was meticulous. And his service attitude was without any expectation of profit, adoration, or distinction. No. And we're very fortunate, all of us. Just remember that. We have somebody that was with us, that myself and Yashoda are confident was a pure devotee following in the steps of Jayananda Prabhu in serving selflessly throughout his life and in the end, gloriously leaving and going back home, back to Godhead. That's not, us. That's our perspective. So excellent. And like I said, with the association of all of you, all the good devotees that we have, and all the efforts that you're making, it's very enlivening for all of us to know that there are still some people carrying the torch. Just like you had the Olympic torch, or all these people carrying it. It's a useless event, but nonetheless, we're carrying the torch of Krishna consciousness. And as ambassadors of our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who lives in sound. And we have a lot of dynamic programs, Nilesh, that we're developing, very progressive, and good ideas, solid ideas to preserve Prabhupada's legacy moving forward, while we all still have time. Yes, because time, look at us. We're sitting around here, we're thinking, oh, we'll just live on, but there's no guarantee. And I can make a list of people that have passed away from our side, from our association. And this is going on and on and on, because there's no end to the motion of time and the change, the ephemeral effects of time on everyone's life. So we're going to be having an initiation in Mexico, as you know, in February. So if anybody's interested in that program, please get in touch with us. We'd love to have you with us. And if you're interested in initiation, we are interested in talking with you and us working together to increase the number of initiated Prabhupada disciples. That is a very important part of this legacy. And I think what we'll do now is we'll move forward with the diaries. I see Shodanandana Prabhu is here. So Nilesh, let's go ahead with the diaries. And we're at February 3rd. That's 1966. So here it is. Yeah, just bring that up a bit closer if it's possible. Thank you. So it's Thursday, February 3rd, and this is Prabhupada. Now, remember, Prabhupada just getting settled more or less in New York. So it's still a long way before July, when he started the Matchless Gifts store, in the Bowery. But today there was here in the pastime, it says, today there was a very nice demonstration of tape record Sankirtan by me. It is all grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Haridas Thakur said that the transcendental sound of Harinam would even purify the hearts of beasts, birds and beasts. Today, the statement of Thakur Haridas is corroborated. These Americans cannot understand even a word's meaning of the Sankirtan, yet they were so much attracted. It is all Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's power. There is no credit for me. Very deep. And he sold one set books sold, that's a Bhagavatam, Delhi Bhagavatams, for $13. No expenditures. And on Friday, February 4th, 1966, I put this page up so you can see the beautiful handwriting of Srila Prabhupada. And on Friday, February 4th, 1966, this is Prabhupada's writing, an engagement with Mr. Henry J. Levy, buyer of Monsieur Brentano's at 9:30 a.m., 566 Fifth Avenue, New York, Fifth Avenue. Mr. Levy was duly seen, but he has no scope for selling my books. It's another rejection. One set book delivered to Orientalia against price deposited yesterday. one book taken back from Monsieur Paragon Book Gallery. Received one letter from Tirtha Maharaj. On his asking for the letter of the donor, he has been given the letter from Sri Padampat Singh Hania and requested him to take sanction for exchange not less than rupees, okay, the commas there. Is that 10 lakhs? 1 million? Let me see.
Yes, 1 million.
1 million lakhs. I'm just familiar with that today. I'm dealing with a fellow in India, and we're dealing in 10 lakhs rupees. Expenditure 30 cents. One Indian young businessman met. His name is Rabindra Srivastava, care of CG Trading Corporation, dealing in carpets. His address was registered, and here's the footnote. Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj, head of the Gaudiya Math, the main branch of the Gaudiya Math. Okay, so Prabhupada's in touch with his godbrother. Saturday, February 5th, New York, one letter received from the President Case of Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, declined to help the cause. I shall reply the letter. Vegetables, 31 cents. And rubbing alcohol, 43 cents. That's a total of 74 cents. And Prabhupada used the rubbing alcohol as an aftershave lotion. So pretty coarse, eh? February 6th, 1966. Look at that. President Case replied to his letter. Cohen with Salik and two other ladies attended today's meeting. I took meals at Dr. Mishra's apartment. There was no expenditure. February 7th, 1966. New York. Today received one letter from Chandrasekhar with enclosure of Sri Krishna's letter. P.F. Sri Krishna has supplied some addresses of which Lamport Export Company is noted. So he's getting referrals. Expenditure, butter and fruits, 71 cents. Okay, we're at 7. We're at 7 still. Thank you. One letter sent to Sally, that's Sally Agarwal, to send 25 sets to Paragon Books immediately. So he was using Paragon as a warehouse for the books because he had no place to store them. So she was keeping them in Butler, Pennsylvania. Tuesday, February 8th, Mr. Larry Bogart called today by me on phone. He advised to remind Mr. Morrow by letter, so I've sent him one letter today asking for immediate interview. So he's pushing. Purchased postage, $2.10. Today, Mr. Mishra returned from Florida. Cohen and Salik did not come today as promised. So, small turnout for him. I think he was running some classes. Nobody was coming. Wednesday on the 9th of February, today morning, I met the manager of S.N. Fletchens, 33 Riverside Drive, New York, 23 New York, for occupying apartment number 307 on rent. So this is this office building, no kitchen, no bathroom. Agreed, and in the evening at 4:30, $140 was paid as followed. Rent $70, and the guy charged him a security, Panchagoda, a security deposit of $70. So it was a total of $140. Prabhupada had saved the money and attended A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Formerly 1 year's lease, but can be vacated by 30 days' notice by registered post, and the receipt was taken. Taken $40 from Mr. Cohen, out of which book price $16.80 due to him, $23.20. Expenditures was the bus fare, 30 cents, and rent above, total $140, 30 cents. And denatured alcohol, 43 cents. So the total bill was $140, 73 cents. Credits and debits, very simple accounting system, but he's keeping it. I learned that when I went to university. Thursday, the 10th of February, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada's Advent ceremony, that's Bhakti Siddhanta. Today I'm changing my room from 501 to 307. It's rented. The following letters are sent: a Postmaster Zone, number 1023, U.S. mails, to change of room and change of address. A letter to the New York Times, the new editor, on 229 West 43rd Street, New York. And number 3, a New York Herald Tribune, 430 West 41st Street, New York. And number 4, New York News Daily and Sunday, 220 East 42nd Street, New York, and all requested to publish news of Hari Kirtan. So Prabhupada's on all fronts, storing books, selling books, sending out, these are like more or less press releases himself. He has no group working with him. It's all a one-man show. Amazing, amazing. Delivered personally at the respective offices. He took them personally. I've taken possession of the room, number 307, from today, although the rent will be charged from the 15th to the 15th. And the expenditure of postage was 28 cents. So, very intriguing study here on the work of the bona fide spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we can all take shelter of his lotus feet because he will take us back to Godhead. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava by Srila Prabhupada, and then the reading and discussion with His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu, who's made his way back from his journey in Los Angeles to Twain Harte to join us with this program this evening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now you can play the prayers.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramangsa Paribhajagacharya Sattare Srismadhati Dhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavati Jaya Ananta Kodi Vaishnavin ki Jaya Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jaya Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani Jaya Sri Sri Radha Krishna Mok Gopinath Sam Khund Radha Khund Giri Godhan ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham ki Jaya Navadvip Dham ki Jaya Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली ऑल ग्लोरी टू द असम्बली थैंक यू वेरी मच
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam Narayanam namaskrityam Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat Tato jayam mudirayat. Very small. Here, hold it. We'll repeat this. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I am speaking here from Kingsburg, California, near Highway 99, just north of Fresno, California. Let's read a few of the verses from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, text 18 to 22. Can we get those verses? Text 18. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra and glory to all of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next text. Itina Thakur Gaudiya ke karye chena yatmasat. Itinera charana vandan tire morinat. All glories to Sri Nata. I can't pick up the size of the screen here. Okay, let's get the next verse. I'll repeat the Sanskrit. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavanti Nirasmarana.
In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Go ahead.
Nice. Se Mangala Charana Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinira Smarana.
In the
Next
beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord and the personality of Godhead, I've invoked their benediction.
Tinira Smarana Vigna Vinashana. Anayasaya Nijavanchita Purana.
Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires.
Sri Mangala Charanoi Drivida Prakar. Vastu Nirdesha Shirvada Namaskara.
The invocation involves three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances.
Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I do not know if everybody got the notice about the new time for the reading and discussion. Gradually, we will send it to everybody. And today we are reading from Adi Lila, chapter 5, text number 22. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpavriksha laksha vriteshu surabhirabi palayantam Lakshmi sahasrashata sambrama sevyamanam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Chintamani touchstone prakara groups made of sadmasu in abodes kalpavriksha of desire trees laksha by millions avriteshu surrounded surabhi cows abhipalayantam tending Lakshmi of goddesses of fortune Sahasra of thousands Shata by hundreds Sambrahma with great respect Sevyamanam being served Govindam Govinda Adipurusham the original person Tam him Aham I Bhajami worship. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending the cows, yielding all desires in abodes built with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from Brahma Samhita 529. This description of the abode of Krishna gives us definite information of the transcendental place where not only is life eternal, blissful and full of knowledge, but there are ample vegetables, milk, jewels, and beautiful homes and gardens tended by lovely damsels who are all goddesses of fortune. Krishna Loka is the topmost planet in the spiritual sky, and below it are innumerable spheres, a description of which can be found in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the beginning of Lord Brahma's self-realization, he was shown a transcendental vision of the Vaikuntha spheres by the grace of Narayana. Later, by the grace of Krishna, he was shown a transcendental vision of Krishna Loka. This transcendental vision is like the reception of television from the moon via a mechanical system for receiving modulated waves, but it is achieved by penance and meditation within oneself. The Srimad Bhagavatam second canto states that in Vaikuntha Loka, The material modes of nature, represented by the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance, have no influence. In the material world, the highest qualitative manifestation is goodness, which is characterized by truthfulness, mental equilibrium, cleanliness, control of the senses, simplicity, essential knowledge, faith in God, scientific knowledge, and so on. Nevertheless, all these qualities are mixed with passion and imperfection. But the qualities in Vaikuntha are a manifestation of God's internal potency, and therefore they are purely spiritual and transcendental, with no trace of material infection. No material planet, even Satyaloka, is comparable in quality to the spiritual planets, where the 5 inherent qualities of the material world, namely ignorance, misery, egoism, anger, and envy, are completely absent. In the material world, everything is a creation. Anything we can think of within our experience, including even our own bodies and minds, was created. This process of creation began with the life of Brahma, and the creative principle is prevalent all over the material universe because of the quality of passion. But since the quality of passion is conspicuous by its absence in the Vaikuntha planets, nothing there is created. Everything there is eternally existent. And because there is no mode of ignorance, there's also no question of annihilation or destruction. In the material world, one may try to make everything permanent by developing the above-mentioned qualities of goodness. But because the goodness in the material world is mixed with passion and ignorance, nothing here can exist permanently, despite all the good plans of the best scientific brains. Therefore, in the material world, we have no experience of eternity, bliss, and fullness of knowledge. But in the spiritual world, because of the complete absence of the qualitative modes, everything is eternal, blissful, and cognizant. Everything can speak, everything can move, everything can hear, and everything can see in fully blessed existence for eternity. The situation being so naturally space and time in a form of past, present, and future have no influence there. In the spiritual sky, there is no change because time has no influence. Consequently, the influence of Maya, the total external energy, which induces us to become more and more materialistic and forget our relationship with God, is also absent there. As spiritual sparks of the beams emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord, we're all permanently related with Him and equal to Him in quality. The material energy is a covering of the spiritual spark, but in the absence of that material covering, the living beings in Vaikuntha Loka are never forgetful of their identities. They are eternally cognizant of their relationship with God in their constitutional position of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. Because they constantly engage in the transcendental service of the Lord, it is natural to conclude that their senses are also transcendental, for one cannot serve the Lord with material senses. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka do not possess material senses with which to lord it over material nature. I'll stop it. This is a very long purport. We're going to be reading this over the next few classes. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sugurave Namaham Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshataham Adadhana Srinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyam Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tatkripa Pikshako Nityam Tatprishta Shatakaro Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This particular text of Chaitanya Charitamrita is very similar to various statements in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna, where he described that one reaches his abode, he never has to come back to this miserable material world. Now, this is a very important point, which Srila Prabhupada explains so many times in his books. This is described in numerous places in his lectures, in his books, in his conversation, to go back home, back to Godhead. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita is very specific in its description of the abode of Lord Krishna. It's very detailed, it's very specific, and it's actually very amazing. There's no other literature in the world which describes the kingdom of God with such detail and precision. Now, the Bhagavad Gita refers to this, Yadgatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama, that if one reaches this abode of Lord Krishna, he doesn't have to come back here to the suffering. The point is, where's that abode and what goes on there? And this is a beautiful description by Srila Prabhupada in his purport of what happens. All of these different Lakshmis or Gopis are there rendering service to Lord Krishna. The place is filled with millions of desire trees where one can get anything one desires, and there's no suffering. There's no birth, no death, no old age, no disease, none of the influence of material modes of nature, none of the suffering that we see in this material world. This is very important because everybody is looking for relief from suffering. That's why there are so many medical institutions, so many pharmaceutical companies, so many doctors, so many nurses. Everybody is trying to alleviate the pain of the material body. But the way to alleviate that pain is to become Krishna conscious and at the time of death to go back home, back to Godhead. Or at least start the process by which at least one will be guaranteed a human form of life and he can continue the process in his lifetime. But if one is like Aprakrita or like Jayananda, fully Krishna conscious, then he will go back to Godhead at the end of life. And this is very important. Very, very important. because people do not know. They have no knowledge of this transcendental science. And this is what Srila Prabhupada is delivering. The highest knowledge, the highest benefit. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes this transcendental knowledge, Raja Vidya Raja Goyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. The Sanskrit word is Uttamam. In other words, this is the highest knowledge. This is the highest information. And this is the greatest gift that Srila Prabhupada has given to human society, to all of his disciples, to all philosophers, to all educationists, to all scholars, to everybody in human society. Everyone can get the benefit of Srila Prabhupada's transcendental preaching and transcendental mercy. That is why these unrevised books, non-changed books, non-adulterated books are so important, because it gives somebody the complete knowledge of the spiritual world, how to become free from this material world. This is very essential. Now, when these books are changed or adulterated or modified, it's a different story, because there is a political agenda behind changing the books. No one should touch these books. No one should adulterate Srila Prabhupada books under plea of editorial correctness. That is not appropriate. That is a big mistake and an offense. I'll leave it at that for now. But this is a very important point which we keep repeating here. And many devotees are understanding this point. They're getting the point. They're understanding the importance of the purity and originality of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Very essential point. Thank you very much. I just want to make a brief announcement that our friend Venkat has sent me an email. He will not be able to continue managing the classes. So on Saturday, we will need somebody to step in and convene, either Nilesh Prabhu or Rupesh Prabhu. But it's a situation which has just arisen just a few minutes ago before I spoke. And I've sent an email to a few of you. So we have to convene on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock Pacific time. Somebody has to handle the management of the class. Hare Krishna.
Okay, well, we do have Rupesh on Saturday, and we'll see
Okay.
what we can do for Sunday, so everything is
Okay.
all right. You know, in any kind of work, sometimes there's difficulties, so
Mm-hmm.
when there's a problem, there's a solution, and we'll be able to make a
Yep.
solution in due course. And yeah, that sort of threw me. So the thing is this, that in the material world, Prabhupada mentions here today, I thought it was quite interesting, Yashoda, that these 5 things are all absent in the spiritual world: ignorance, misery, egoism, anger, and envy. These 5 things. And I'm reading right now a section from the Bhagavad Gita, the 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And it's describing, Nilesh, as you know, all the different aspects of these different modes and how they affect the conditioned soul. But all these activities are subjected to the laws of karma. So no matter who you are, if you act in these modes of goodness, passion, or ignorance, and predominantly in the modern society, people are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance. That's the way it's going on, especially we see in the current elections in different countries like Canada and America. There are certain major issues that they're dealing with that are causing arguments between 2 parties. For example, the rule of abortion. Now, this is a situation due to the mode of passion. And no matter how they deal with it, there's a negative karma for it. There's a negative karma. How it's dealt with, that's complicated in its own right, but at the same time, this is due to the mode of passion. In the same way, we have the mode of ignorance. The mode of ignorance is prevalent throughout the Western world here especially. It's called the fast food nations. And so where people are constantly devouring flesh. So they're killing literally billions of animals. Globally, it's billions. And without any remorse, without any mercy. And what happens is collective karma. There's a collective karma that's taking place. Abortions, animal slaughter, intoxications. That's basically the pastime of most people in America, in Canada. I have direct experience of that. So everybody, they work hard during the week and they're doing drugs and taking intoxications in the weekend to find happiness. Oh, I'll be happy if I have these alcoholic beverages with my friends, and if I eat these hamburgers and carry on with this demoniac lifestyle that's in the West, I'll be happy. No, there is no happiness here. And Prabhupada's explaining here about the nature of the transcendental world, which is beyond the miseries of material life, which are all based and we're all encumbered in ignorance, misery, egoism, anger, and envy. Interesting. And I was thinking about this, Nilesh. One of the most prevalent sort of focuses of the living entity in these days is egoism. It's ego. In other words, you're identifying yourself with your money. You're identifying my money, my house, my family, my car, my education. Everything is I, me, and mine. All false ego related to the body. Egoism. And then activity related to egoism, which is in the modes of passion and ignorance. Here in the West, there's some kind of artist who's now his name is Diddy somebody. I'm not familiar at all with him, but it's in the news. And I believe he's in Florida, where you are, Prabhu, Nilesh. And they offered $50 million for him to get bail, and the judge refused it. Can you imagine? $50 million. And this person was so infatuated with his so-called material success that he thought that he was above the laws of the country, and what to speak above the laws of God. Completely demoniac. And because of that, look at the karma. Egoism. This is the main problem. That this false ego drives most people. And we're all victims of it. I'm so important. I'm so famous. I'm so rich, etc., etc. I'm an American. Make America great again. That's their message. Make America great for what? More meat eating, more intoxication, more gambling. Gambling has become rampant in America. It has infected everything that's going on. It's spread. And when these vices infiltrate society, it breaks down everything. And then there's threat of nuclear war. Why? Why is it that they're speaking of nuclear war? Because of the collective sinful activities of people in this modern society. It is a very dangerous time we're living in, and we're very fortunate all of us to be able to associate and come together. And at the same time, not only are we fortunate, we are getting insight into life that nobody else has by the grace of the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Chintamani prakara sadmashu kalpa briksha laksha braitashu surabi abhipalyantam. So this is from the Brahma Samhita. This is a description of the spiritual world that Prabhupada has opened our eyes to with the torchlight of knowledge. So there's hope for the devotees of the Lord who have a vision of an eternal life free from this material world based on ignorance, misery, egoism, anger, and envy. Prabhupada told us this, Nilesh. This world is not a place for any gentleman or gentle lady. This place is a place to train us up how to get out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. And when a person thoroughly understands how miserable this world is, then they'll realize there's every reason for them to take advantage of this opportunity to get out of this place. This is a prison house. Prabhupada compared it to that, a prison house. And it's for correcting the conditioned souls and enabling us to develop the opportunity that we have to take up the mission of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya and deliver us from this very difficult situation that we're in the year 2024. Yashodanandana Prabhu, are you still with us? No. We'll have Dharma Bhavana join us here. Dharma Bhavana, maybe you could share some insights from today's discussion. That was Texas. Yeah.
I made it. I made it.
Well.
I wanted to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, text number 163. What happened is one of our friends who's been associated with Krishna consciousness movement for some years, I had to ask him, what is the spiritual world? And he started answering me, oh, it's kindness, happiness, generosity, material qualities like that. So I had to explain to him that.
Prabhuji, can you repeat the text? Can you repeat the text which you're going to refer to?
Yeah, Madhya-lila, chapter 15, text 163.
163.
So I had to explain to him that the spiritual world is Krishna Loka, and Vaikuntha is actually a place where we're supposed to be going. That's our destination. And if somebody were to ask, what is the Hare Krishna movement? There's probably different ways it could be answered. But one of the ways in which it's answered in this text that I wanted to read part of today, maybe starting with the second paragraph, is that they had a conversation between Vasudeva Datta and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Vasudeva Datta said, oh my Lord, let me take all the different sinful reactions of all the different people and let me suffer so they can become liberated. And so one way to understand the depth of our Krishna consciousness movement in our reading and discussions is to kind of understand how glorious and great Vasudeva Datta is. And here it's explained in the second paragraph. Srila Vasudeva Datta knew very well that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the original personality of Godhead. He was transcendence itself, above the material conception of illusion and Maya. Lord Jesus Christ certainly finished the sinful reactions of his followers by his mercy, but that does not mean that he completely delivered them from the pangs of material existence. A person may be relieved from sins once, but it is a practice among Christians to confess sins and yet commit them again. By getting free from sins and again engaging in them, one cannot attain freedom from the pangs of material existence. A diseased person may go to a physician for relief, but after he leaves the hospital, he may again be infected due to his unclean habits. Thus, material existence continues. Srila Vasudeva Dutta wanted to completely relieve the conditioned souls from material existence, so that they would no longer have an opportunity to commit sinful acts. This is the difference between Srila Vasudeva Dutta and Lord Jesus Christ. It is a great offense to receive pardon for sins and then commit the same sins again. Such an offense is more dangerous than the sinful activity itself. Vasudeva Dutta was so liberal that he requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to transfer all offensive activity upon him, so the conditioned souls might be purified. This prayer was certainly without duplicities. Okay, just wanted to mention that little one aspect of Krishna consciousness, how Vasudeva Dutta was so great, he wanted to take all the sins and let all the people go free. I'm having a little trouble here with my new location. All right. Anyway, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Okay, your hands in the microphone. It's very interesting to note that you're reading about sinful activity, how people in the Catholic Church, they go to confession. Garuda Prabhu, you know that. They go to the confession on Saturday. That's generally when they do it. I was raised as a Roman Catholic myself through all of the different stages of, elementary school and high school. And you go to church, you go to confession on Saturday, or they do it on Fridays, and you do your confession, and then on Sunday you get the host. You take the host, it's like their prasadam type of thing. And then the next day you think, okay, well, I went to church and I took the confession and I did the prasadam. And now I'm going to go back and do all my nonsense all week. And then on Saturday or Friday, I'll go back to confession and I'll absolve myself. And I'll do the same thing over and over again. So this is a very elementary look at spiritual life. Because the reason is they have no understanding of Satchidananda. What is eternity? What is knowledge? And what is bliss on the Transcendental platform? They're situated on the material platform of I, me, and mine. And that, Dharma Bhavana, is what is happening with your friend who's a friend of the ISKCON group. And he has no understanding of spiritual life on the Transcendental platform. And then he's preaching this Sahajya philosophy, which he's getting from his so-called teachers. This is it. These people are being misled. And it's a very unfortunate thing. And think about it like this, Garuda Prabhu. There have been over 100,000 people initiated in the ISKCON group since Prabhupada's demise. 100,000, maybe 200,000. Huh? Like, for example, we have one person in Mayapur, he's initiated 75,000 people himself. Now, there were also extensive initiations in the Russian country, in Russia, Ukraine, and these particular countries, tens of thousands of people, and they've been displaced, let's say, lost. So there are so many hundreds of thousands of people that have taken up spiritual life and have now given it up due to bad leadership, bad training. So we have an opportunity with our group to reclaim some of these people, and they're not all lost. There are a lot of sincere people. And it's our hope that eventually, through our hard work and our cooperation together, that we'll give other people a chance to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada in his legacy and in his books. Garuda Prabhu, maybe you could share a comment.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
My pranams to you, Vishwakarmaji, and everyone else here. My pranams. You know, you were talking about the prison house, and
Yeah.
no one likes to stay in the prison house. On the other hand, there is another way to look at this, and that is that while we're in the prison house,
Uh-huh.
we're not subject to the typical lives of prisoners because we're blessed. We're very blessed people. So while we're here, I think it behooves us to extend the pleasure of devotional service to others, to worship at the altar of other persons' hearts, and to show them that they have hearts that can be developed into a beautiful Krishna bhaktas. So yes, we're in the, and yes, we do want to get, believe me, I want to get out of the jail too with you, Vishwakarma. We can go together if you want, okay? On the other hand, we're still here. And as you're doing here, you're nourishing so many people's hearts. And I wish I can do that myself. And I think that's the special grace that I think Mahaprabhu gives us through the Guru Parampara and empowers us. Prabhupada has empowered us to extend our devotional hearts to the hearts of others and inspire others. So just a quick comment.
Well, the thing is, and I was discussing Nilesh with Prabhupada, with Yashodanandana Prabhu, that in order to connect with the Guru Parampara, with Srila Prabhupada, you have to follow the process that he's giving us. It's not some kind of magic. It's a formula. If you follow the process, say, for example, you're chanting of your rounds. Now, I've been chanting my rounds day after day. I'm trying to focus my mind, but at least I make the effort. And some days I chant better than other days. Some days I'm thinking about how are we going to get this, how are we going to do that, and not concentrating just on the name itself. Same with the reading. I'm reading again, as you know, Garuda Prabhu for umpteenth time, the Bhagavad Gita. Now it's ever fresh. I'm in the 14th chapter. It's really, really revealing so many different aspects to me again as I continue trekking through the book. And I'm getting a connection with my guru by applying myself to the process, distributing prasadam to others, serving Prabhupada in a very interesting way with the publication with our group of the Delhi Bhagavatams. It's a very interesting thing. And by the way, I just wanted to mention to everyone here that I'm also thinking that I'm going to get in touch because the books may be printed near the Scindia Steamship Company in India, and I might get them to ship them here, like Prabhupada had them brought from India. These new, what an interesting opportunity, but that's on another side. But the point is this, that the more we connect with the mission and the service to the Guru, the more Krishna connects us to his purports, to his explanations. Excuse me for 1 second, sorry about that. The more we connect with Prabhupada in our service, then the more connected we will be to Krishna. By the grace of Guru, one gets Krishna. It's no other way. So that focus is our primary focus, to focus on Srila Prabhupada and inspire others to do the same thing. Nilesh Sharma, please.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Very interesting topics which we are talking about the whole spiritual world and how the spiritual world comprised of, and
Yes.
what are the imperfections of this material world as we live into it and continue to live into it. I always have a little difference of opinion as far as what should be our ultimate aim. Yes, we are in a jail. Yes, we are in this place called Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. But why is this dukkha or this pain afflicting us because we are still in this material body. We still have this imperfections within us. But as Garuda Prabhu said, that if our hearts are truly filled with devotion, and if we rise to the platform of prema bhakti, from
Uh-huh.
sadhana bhakti to bhava bhakti, and from bhava bhakti to prema bhakti, and if we are on that prema bhakti, which is spontaneous love for Godhead, what difference does it make whether we are in this material world or the spiritual world? Because we are in constant service with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. If for eternity we have to stay in this Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam and continue to serve Srila Prabhupada and his mission, what is wrong with that? As long as we have developed that spontaneous love for Godhead in our hearts. So, what should be our aim? Should our aim be to leave from here and go to the spiritual world, or our aim should be is to develop this spontaneous love for God? Then, no matter where we are, everything is spiritual, because even this material world is created by Him. So, if we were to use this material world in His service, and we derive that same pleasure as we do in the spiritual world, then what difference does it make whether we're here or there? Now, the body may go through a certain discomforts, the body may go through certain perils, but the moment our consciousness is away from the body, just like looking at Srila Prabhupada on his deathbed, he is translating the Srimad Bhagavatam for us and least pertinent as to what's going to happen to his body. He just wants to leave as many messages for us as possible. But are we fit enough to understand this person's what you call dedication, of how dedicated he was to give us his messages, and what are we doing to his messages? We are changing them. We are not bothering to read his books, not going through it. You know, there is one part of Srimad Bhagavatam which I would like to share, which I was reading, what you call, just recently, and I would like to share it. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 24.
Yeah.
It is the last paragraph which I'm trying to explain over here. And I'd just like to read it quickly, just to share a little thoughts over here. So Prabhupada is summarizing the whole process of developing transcendental ecstasy. The advanced devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord is perfectly offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone, can actually relish the transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord. You were talking about chanting, Prabhuji, Vishwakarma Prabhu. And so here it is that do we relish this transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord? And if we don't, why? The result of such realization is reflected in what? In cessation of all material desires, etc., as mentioned above. The neophyte, due to their being in the lower stage of devotional service, are invariably envious, so much so that they invent their own ways and means of devotional regulations without following the acharyas. As such, even if they make a show of constant chanting the holy name of the Lord, they cannot relish the transcendental taste of the holy name. Therefore, the show of tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, or unconsciousness is condemned. They can, however, get in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord, rectify their bad habits. Otherwise, they shall continue to be stone-hearted, unfit for any treatment. A complete progressive march on the return path home back to Godhead will depend on the instructions of the revealed scriptures directed by the realized devotees. So if we don't follow these instructions, how are we going to reach? How are we going to relish the transcendental taste of the holy name? And if we don't relish it, how are we going to reach our destination? How are we going to reach the stage of prema bhakti? You see? So everything kind of correlates into the same part. Why are we condemning any changes? Is because we will not reach the final destination. We will be going around in circles right here in this material world, giving an illusion to others, and the most is to our own selves that, oh, we are such advanced devotees. But the question is, are we? I would love to hear Garuda Prabhu's comments because he had his hands off.
Yeah, I'll bring him on for the discussion. I wanted to further comment based on what we're doing with our group. There is a very, very wonderful opportunity for us to focus, like Prabhupada is doing in the diaries, Garuda Prabhu. We're looking at the diaries, we're studying them, we're going over them, we're seeing what is he doing, Nilesh, every day? Is he talking about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya? No, he's marking down how much he spent for butter, how much he spent for bus fare, what letters he's sending to various people to do this. This particular absorption in the mission of our guru is how you can taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. It's a focus. And by working together, we can develop this samadhi trance. This is the trance, like you were saying. Do we want to leave this world and go to the spiritual world? Well, the best we can do is serve our spiritual master and then please him. And in this way, if you do that, then Krishna will take you back to Godhead. This is not something you manufacture in your mind. Oh, I'm going to be this Jugala Priti. I'm going to be... If you can just get up and do your duty every day with focus like Jayananda did, like Aprakrita did, and like so many of our wonderful God brothers are doing, you stay focused on your work to serve Krishna, then, and Prabhupada's mission, then you may get the mercy of the Lord from within the heart. He will reveal himself to us. Garuda Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, beautiful points, Vishwakarmaji. And I liked Nilesh's comment that we can bring the spiritual world around us if we are absorbed in pleasing Prabhupada. You know, this is a beautiful sentiment. And even just with 52 years of practice.
Yes.
Today, and I was teaching my university class. And of course, what am I teaching? I'm teaching Bhagavad Gita. I'm a little spoiled. Krishna knew I wouldn't be strong enough to sell insurance or sell cars and be Krishna. So he said, Garuda, you need to just teach. You need a job where you're focusing on Bhagavad Gita. So that's what I get to do. And I get paid for it as a professor. A student came up to me today and she said, Dr. Schweig, how is it you're always so happy? I was a little struck by that. I said, well, because I'm trying to live the text we're reading right now. I'm trying to live that text. You might want to try it too. So anyway, it's, in my own little tiny way, Nilesh, I don't feel like I'm at the university half the time. I'm just absorbed in extending this beautiful, beautiful Bhagavad Gita as it is to my students. And it's just, it's just so pleasurable, really pleasurable. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. And, I think we're coming to the end of the program. So thank you very much, everyone, for being involved. And I just wanted to mention, if there is somebody that's interested in helping us on the Sunday program this week, you could get a hold of us, get a hold of me by WhatsApp or Yashodanandana Prabhu by email or WhatsApp, or to any of us, and we'll see what we can do for the Sunday slot this week. And don't worry, everyone, we'll keep going. Life has changes all the time. Just see what happens if someone leaves their body and you've got to find a replacement. That's the way it is. We just march forward. And in this way, the mission of Srila Prabhupada will be maintained by our group. So thank you very much, everyone. We're going to move to the end of the program and the chanting of Hare Krishna with Srila Prabhupada leading Please stay on for that. It's just for a minute and 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And he's going to play the bongo and we can chant along, and then we'll have the closing of the obeisances, and then we'll go from there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Vancha kalpa trubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavenibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thank you very much. We'll see everyone on Saturday morning for the Bhagavad Gita as it is, reading and discussion. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.